Time for another video of the FGC on NPC. How would I change Street Fighter? I remember I was making these videos about a year ago and I just kind of got bored of it, but the production value's a little bit higher now, dude, so I guess we'll look at it like this, right? You know what I mean? I guess some people this kind of helps kind of kickstart their imagination or something. So some of this stuff is going to be stuff I've already talked about, but and remember, everything that I talk about, hopefully you've watched the other videos so you have an idea of the general kind of system idea changes that I would do for Street Fighter. So again, remember, if you like this kind of videos, like, sub, silly comment, whatever, it helps the channel. So how would I change Guy? Of course, Guy, I like Guy a lot. I think he's fun, but I do think that Guy is one of those characters that I like the idea of Guy, but I think executionally speaking of how he works in video games, I think he often has awkward feeling moves that don't feel correct in his incarnations, right? So he's a character that has a lot of cool ideas. And I've said before about Street Fighter, I think all the Final Fight characters, maybe not including Street Fighter 5, but generally speaking, you know, throughout Alpha, I think all the Final Fight characters are actually pretty well done. In terms of concepts, just they aren't always executionally executed well, I guess you could say. But let's look at some things that I would change about Guy, or some issues I have that we could fix more easily. Again, if I was making my own Street Fighter or whatever, right? So first of all, I'm sure we have this little flippy move. Let's get a marker here, the high production values. Okay, it's working. See, that's why we got a test run. We gotta get, it needs to be a little thicker like a kielbasa. There we go. Thick, solid, tight. Anyway, so one of the issues with Guy, I think, is he's had this, he's got that little down forward roundhouse move. He does a little flip thing. And then if you've ever played Capcom Fighting Jam, and it's also in it's also an Omega version of Street Fighter 4, I think it is, right? He also has this flip where he does, after the flip, he does this kind of roundhouse. And it's interesting because in Capcom Fighting Jam, there's a bug that I originally found, if you recall. After the move, you can juggle, but there's also a bug, even if the guy blocks it for however many frames or seconds, maybe it's like 3 or 4 seconds, I forget what it is. Even if a guy blocks a move, it puts them in this kind of juggle state that they will be able to be juggled by everything, no matter what, even if they block the move, right? So it's kind of interesting, right? But it's hard to hit because the hitbox on the move doesn't hit like ducking people. You can't combo into it. Street Fighter 4 Omega, you can combo into it that I recall, but let's not think about Street Fighter 4 Omega, because I wouldn't want you to be able to combo into the move just like whatever, right? Because I think it makes it too much of a fail-safe move that it's always the combo you want to go for if you can hit it. So I think we need to finagle the actual use of the move to make it better, because in most versions of the game, just this flip kick, it's not that good. Even the game where it has good priority, Street Fighter Alpha 1, as a matter of fact, it's one of Guy's best priority attacks in Street Fighter Alpha. But the actual kind of interesting thing about Street Fighter Alpha 1, if people haven't actually played, I think Guy is just the greatest character in all aspects. A lot of his moves, compared to some other characters in the cast, priority-wise, they actually don't have that great priority, besides maybe his sweep is just insane in Street Fighter Alpha. But his down forward roundhouse is actually one of his highest priority moves, but a lot of times it's kind of like, why would you do it, right? So we need to add some more versatility to this move. So one thing right away that I said I would change if I was making Street Fighter is, if you recall, in old Street Fighter up to Super Turbo, you could actually be attacking a guy. Like Chun-Li could be up here, she could be, wow, I don't know what I was doing there. Get your act together, Clayton. I thought you could draw. Hiya! Oh, she's doing a Bruce Lee kick. So in old Street Fighter, you used to be able to do an air attack. You could hit a guy, and then if you hit the wall, you could still then cancel that animation and jump off. That is definitely something that I think they should add back to Street Fighter. I don't know why they ever got rid of it. So what can we do with something like this? Like, I even think they could add it, do some really fun stuff with it, right? But let's look at a character like Guy. How could we add a move like that to Guy? So say for Guy's flip. Maybe if Guy ever does this flip, when he's flipping backwards, if he is in the corner, he can then jump off the wall. Okay? Now, what if he's doing this kick, right? If you've ever played King of Fighters 13, it is. Kim has a kick that looks like this, right? And if you recall, if he misses and he bounces off, if he misses, he can actually bounce off the wall and jump. That is definitely something I would add, just a very simple fix for this move that would make it automatically more useful. I would not put in like Street Fighter 4 Omega mode where it just always combos, because then it's like, why wouldn't you always just do the flip kick to that if it just combos and then juggle? It's too much of a dumb reach. You don't want such a dumb reach that just is like, why would I do anything else, right? Fucking stupid, right? So we want the move to actually be versatile and have an actual kind of like mind game to it. So he does this flip kick, right? Don't make it god awful like Street Fighter Alpha 2 where the move can't even hit half the cast ducking. The move makes absolutely no fucking sense, right? You know, actually give the move decent priority, something like that. It doesn't have to combo to the flip kick or to this roundhouse, but if you recall, you can duck this move. So the kind of mind game of this is, well, if I duck it, I'm not going to get a free punish anymore, because if he's in the wall, you know what I mean? Well, maybe, or if he's behind, or if the wall is to him, he can actually jump off. And there could be some kind of mix up to that too, right? And I would even say something else I would add to the characters. When a character jumps off a wall, you know what I mean? Maybe make it so their moves automatically cause a juggle state or something like that. Maybe, guys, something, if you've jumped off a wall, maybe as a special move, if you've jumped off a wall for a little throwback to Final Fight, if you press all 3 kicks in the air, he'll do this animation of the, you know, what he does in Final Fight, but it causes a juggle state. And maybe you can then even go down with his elbow off of it or something. Maybe you can chain in the air off it if you do that. Just some kind of weird versatility to the move, right? So, because again, in Capcom, I'm trying to tone up the idea of it in Capcom Fighting Jam, because I think there's an idea there, but it's just not useful enough, because it's kind of like, well, man, it's the only chance you're really going to get hit by this is if you were trying to punish this, right? If guy was kind of like, you know, just really being obnoxious and trying to run away, but it's just very once in a blue moon. There needs to be something else to this move that makes it a little bit fearful, that actually kind of makes the opponent want to stand up. But sometimes it needs another layer to the move, right? So that is something simple I think you could do. If he's flipping back, he can jump off the wall. If he's doing this, if he actually hits the wall, it's like King of Fighters 13, like Kim when he has that move, he can flip off the wall. Then imagine if you're flipping off the wall and the guy is ducking right here. Right when you come off the wall, he comes down with the elbow. You know what I mean? And it can hit the guy because it automatically cancels his momentum. And then so if the guy's just ducking, do you see it? I'm getting into it, dude. If the guy's like ducking, you know what I mean? If the guy's ducking, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't want to get hit by it. Well, he doesn't want to do that because now he's opening himself up to be crossed up, potentially, right? There's another layer to the move. And I was also, sorry. Then we had this little thing. Maybe he has a 3-kick special after he hits the wall, something like that. And something else I would add to this. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm stepping ahead. I'm going a little bit too far. Actually, no, let's just go right there. You know what? We're going to go right there. Something else I would add to the move. So, of course, I would add that Capcom Fighting Jam kind of bug to it, where if the guy blocks it, it also puts him in this juggle state that anything juggles no matter what for a few seconds. But for a throwback, and I know this is going to sound very nerdy, and I agree, it sounds very nerdy. It sounds kind of Mugen-y, but I accept it because I think it seems like a throwback and it seems fun. Not only do I think if it's blocked, it should cause this juggle state, you know, this kind of bug, you know, throwing the bug. Bugs aren't necessarily a bad thing. They make serendipitously, they make some games more fun, like a Guilty Gear. I would actually add a throwback that if the move hits also for a few seconds, guy can chain combo again anything. I know that sounds very Mugen-y, and I agree it does sound kind of nerdy and Mugen-y, but I accept it because it seems like a throwback to me, and it seems kind of fun. So if the move is blocked as well, boom. Maybe guy, for a few seconds, he can chain combo. So technically, maybe you block this attack, you're at even, or maybe it's a little bit of an advantage, whatever it is, then guy could do a block string like Street Fighter Alpha. It only lasts a few seconds or something like that, but if the block string opened you up, he could do that potential dizzy combo from Street Fighter Alpha 1. I know that is super ghetto, and it's very Mugen-y almost, but I accept it as a throwback because there's already been a precedent for a weird bug in a game like this, and I think it is fun actually. So there you go. I would add that. Now let's look how would Guy use the system of the game. Now, if you recall, hopefully this is recording. Is it recording? I should probably check. It's still recording. Show off my chest to the 2% female viewer audience ship. So if you recall, the system of the game, I would add a kind of ghetto EX kind of cancel kind of thing, right? So how would a character like Guy use this system? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll have to watch the video. So one of the main things I would do, and I'll try to flesh this out a little bit for you so it doesn't sound too cheap, right? So something fun you could do with Guy that would actually really show off this system is imagine a character like Guy, or a character throws a fireball. He shoots a fireball, blue, 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 there's the fireball. It's a super turbo fireball, so it's got that little cool trail when it's coming on. Guy horizontal's through it. He does the elbow. Then if he has the 65% meter, let's make it red for Guy. He hits the guy and he comes down on him with the elbow, right? Now here is where it gets kind of tricky, right? So if you've watched the videos, you know something you could do between this. Boom, it hits the guy. It causes a juggle state. Then this move does not normally juggle, but now it will juggle because of the gimmick of the game. Boom, he hits this. Again, this flip kick to this does not normally not combo, but now it will because of this. Then because it juggles. Then you can do the Bushin combo, just like Capcom Fighting Jam. Then you end in a hurricane kick. And you could say that could almost automatically dizzy a guy. Explosive. Don't act like you don't like dizzy combos, all that kind of stuff. You know what? People complain like, oh, dizzy combos are cheap. All this kind of shit is cheap, whatever, blah, blah. You know what? From a certain perspective, as broken as people say Super Turbo is, as broken as Super Turbo is because of all the different character archetypes, guess what? From a certain perspective, that also makes it the most balanced game ever. Really, doesn't it? A lot of these so-called terribly balanced games are actually very competitive games from an entire roster standpoint. So no, I don't think giving Guy the actual potential idea that, yeah, Guy can blow you up and he might almost dizzy you from a single bad guess. I don't think that is bad, and I don't know who's messaging me. I don't care. Hopefully she doesn't have big lips. I don't want to see who's messaging me right now. So here's the caveat to this, right? Because there is a potential problem, but don't worry because I have thought this game out. You're like, well, Clayton, you're like, well, you talked about before, you don't want a character just to have a easy, oh, you just do this no matter what. This is your go-to combo. That is too simple. And I agree. Generally, you don't want that. So this is how this is fixed, right? This is why this is fixed, right? First of all, when you go through a fireball, say only the hard punch horizontal goes through it. Because the hard punch horizontal, when it hits you, say it flips the guy. When it hits the guy, they are hit. And you're watching my hand, hopefully. They're hit, stunned long enough from a hard punch horizontal that the elbow can actually hit, okay? And this is important because you don't want a character just to be like, oh, well, this is just Guy's go-to combo. I could just jump in roundhouse, stand strong, stand fierce, little punch horizontal. Then if I have 60% meter, boom, dizzy combo. Too easy, right? Too easy, obviously, right? So the caveat to this would be that the hard punch horizontal is not comboing from everything. It launches the guy higher, so now you have this situation where this works. Now you're like, okay, Clayton, well, what about these other situations, right? And this is what I've talked about. What if Guy's just doing a combo to a slide? Couldn't you then, boom, well then, because of the gimmick of the game, do a slide, then special move cancel for 66% meter, then do an elbow. Now a move will juggle. And yes, a move will juggle, but here's the caveat. And this is, again, because I've actually thought this out a little bit. If you hit a horizontal like this, remember the guy's not flying super high after the slide. So yes, the next move juggles, but guess what? They're going to be so low to the ground after that that you are hitting right here. You're hitting the first part of that kick. And you don't want to hit that first part of the kick. Because if you hit that first part of the kick, you only get that one free juggle point. So then you're not going to be you're not going to be able to combo into this part. And you want to be able to combo into that part, obviously, right? And that is where you actually get specific combos. It is not a one go-to combo. You do not want to be like, oh, the guy uses this one gimmick of the game and boom, he dizzes you off of every hit. No, that's fucking stupid. there actually has to be some thought process into it. So no, you would not be able to slide, oh, then I'm just going to cancel to, and of course slide wouldn't pop them up high enough for the elbow drop anyway. If you do that, you're going to be hitting this first hit of that, and you don't want that. That's why, so from a certain move, oh, I guess the fireball, I have 66% meter and I horizontal through it. Boom, the guy flies so high in the air that you're then allowed to hit this elbow. You time it so it hits the guy low enough that, boom, look, you see the hitbox here? The hitbox is going to miss. The guy is stunned. Now, of course, normally after an elbow drop already, remember, just like in other games too, after an elbow drop, you can juggle after a hurricane kick. But because of the way the game system works in this game, this is the one gimmick that this system gives you, right? So boom, they get high enough that boom, that first hit is missing. Then this second hit hits, boom, which is the actual juggle point of the move that it normally has, which then allows it going to this, which then allows it going to all this. Do you see what I'm saying? It's actually thought out. Believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe. Clayton for 20 years has been correct about video games without ever playing them. It's actually, trust me, I'm constantly, I'm always thinking like, I barely even play video games. I play video games when I'm bored. And, you know, I saw, you know, people like, oh, we knew jumping was going to be so risky and guilty. It's like, dude, you guys literally were saying, you know, jumping. Or wait, I'm getting so fucking confused about this. They're like, oh, yeah, no, jumping is super risky. Yeah, jumping is. It's like, dude, I've been making videos from day one that jumping is not risky in this game. All these fucking shows. And I've even seen people saying, like, oh, we think the wall sucks now, too. Wow, now you think the wall sucks? So, again, most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about games, but. Anyway, this is why a system like this is actually thought out. And you might think, well, Clayton, here's a caveat. This seems so ridiculously powerful that why would you not just save your meter all the time to EX? Because why would you not save it for the super cancel? Or why would you not save it to super? Now you're making guy too strong in this aspect of the EX cancel, 66% meter. I know it's kind of a weird arbitrary number, but it makes the most sense when I've like played through it in my head. And you're like, well, why would you never super? And I've said this before. The one caveat to this that I would say that is potential, that I would play around with ever I played the game, when you do these EX cancel things, if you already remember, in most Street Fighter games, supers don't do a lot of dizzy. So that would be the trade-off, I think, when you play. You have this EX system that is not affected by dizzy. You keep the dizzy, but the first time that you do this EX cancel, say the move only does half-life. So you're giving us, so when you do EX stuff, you're giving away damage, but you're not affecting dizzy. And then when you super, just kind of technically like it is before, you're not getting a lot of dizzy, but you're getting damage. So of course, probably at the end of the day, yes, Guy would be in most situations probably better if he had the meter just to do EX stuff, because yes, I would fully anticipate that Guy would have dizzy combos in this game. And I don't think that's bad though, because technically, games have progressed so far anyway that once you've done a dizzy combo, well, if Guy dizzies you and he starts comboing you again, it's only doing less and less damage anyway. So I don't think that's a problem. And of course, I do think that if I were playing matches in my head, yes, many situations it would be better just to EX cancel. But for sake of argument and clarity, that is a caveat that yes, super stuff would be doing more damage probably, but you're losing that dizzy. So there'd be somewhat of a thought process choice, right? Anyway, what would be the one move that I would give Guy if I'm thinking about EX kind of stuff that I would give to Guy? How long has this been? Do people, like I said, I could actually get really in depth with this shit, but I wish I could do some Mugen stuff or something to show off concepts of this. So I've said before, not every character should have EX every move. The whole idea of every character, it's so fucking retarded. I'm so King of Fighters 13. What does your move do? Oh, my X move juggles. Oh, what does this EX move do? Oh, it juggles. Like I said, get rid of that fucking shit. EX moves should feel special, dude. So what would Guy's EX move be? I would give Guy an EX run, right? Of course, it already kind of goes with the character. But I would make it a complicated EX run. He doesn't need any other EX moves, just an EX run, right? And what would it do? No, it does not have a hit of armor. No hit of armor. Get rid of that stupid Street Fighter 4 stuff. I don't think Guy needs armor on a move, because if I was making the game, which I should probably get into already, Hurricane Kick is not some... Hurricane Kick is definitely a move that... Actually, let me go off on a tangent about this. This is not a move that is designed very good in the Street Fighter games, generally speaking, right? Especially, think about a game like Street Fighter Alpha or Street Fighter 4. I mean, there's like an idea there that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's specific. This Hurricane Kick is only good against throws. This Hurricane Kick is only good versus mids and lows, or this Hurricane Kick is only good versus highs. But it is so specific, and there's too many situations in Street Fighter 4 where you can just do a character who has a big duck strong, and it covers both the little kick and the medium kick Hurricane Kick that you can't beat it. Like, it's too specific. But I do think the idea of Guy's Hurricane Kick being specifically invincible is potentially workable. Even say something like, I think you could potentially do, say a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, how a duck hard punch just is invincible to air attacks. If that would be possible, I definitely think you could try to pre-plan the Hurricane Kick a little bit. That, yeah, hard kick, Hurricane Kick, put a property in it that it can't be beat by air moves. It's already slow, you know what I mean, compared to other anti-airs. I think you could do that, give it an arbitrary number of invincibility towards all, you know, air attacks. But, you know, I don't want to get too into this, but I do think you could try to pre-plan the Hurricane Kick. But how it has been pre-planned in more common games is just terrible, because it is not taken into account even something as simple as a character having a big duck strong, which is really weird, and it's just too specific for what it is. But the point is, if I was making a game, Guy's Hurricane Kick would actually be a reliable anti-air. It doesn't need to be as reliable as a DP per se, or I guess more specifically, I would say it is as reliable as a DP, but there's more thought process to it than a DP, because you actually have to pick and choose. You know what I mean? But the point is, Guy doesn't need an EX run that goes through everything, potentially, because he already has all this other shit that goes... He's already going through other shit in other ways, so why does he need that? I just don't get that. Stupid. It's superflufflious, whatever that word is. Too much padded shit. Anyway, so what would he do? So we have these normal things that he can do from EX run. So you EX run, and what would happen here, right? Let's look at the main things, right? We have the overhead kick. Overhead kick would still function the same. Maybe it does a little more damage. Something like that. Maybe you can combo off it. Who knows? Slide, more damage, whatever like that. Maybe it's safe. Who knows? Whatever it might be, right? But here's where we actually get tricky, right? I would give him, if you've ever played Final Fight 3, he has this specific version of a Bushin combo that you can only do from a run. I would give him this move, right? And I would let him then juggle off it because it's a Bushin combo, right? But the caveat to this is, because then you think, well, wait a second then. If I ever have meter, why wouldn't I just do a big combo to blah, 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 EX run, then I would do the 2 button or whatever it is, the variation, whatever button it is, then to do boom, boom, Bushin combo, right? Why wouldn't I do that? It's just... So the caveat to this would be, is that it's slow. Maybe it only combos from a stand fierce. And the stand fierce, maybe it has a bit of a wind up before he turns around and he does this elbow. So you are not getting a long string into this. It's like literally you got to be like a point blank stand fierce or something to this. This is not like a duck short ×3, stand strong, stand fierce, EX run, boom, this will hit or something like this. You got to be up in the guy's junk, right? Because there's got to be a fucking thought process to this, right? And then if it hits, of course, you can do this. But he has some other options out of this too, right? Then I would say, let's look at these 3 things. This trifecta. The trifecta, the holy trifecta of the Illuminati of Ryu's mix-up of doom. He doesn't know what the fuck it is. So anyway, how can we make this interesting though too? Do you recall what I said about this move here? How I would add back in the Capcom Fighting Jam bug? The Capcom Fighting Jam bug where anything juggles for a few seconds. Hit or block, you know what I mean? And I'd also add to that for a bit of a throwback. Hit or block for a few seconds, he can chain combo. Like Street Fighter Alpha. Okay? Bit of a throwback, kind of Mugen-y, kind of fun. Well, these 3 versions also cause that effect. So the first thing, if he does the dash stop, boom, this puts him in that state that Now he can chain combo for a few seconds. And since anything juggles, technically, if he were to dash stop and then throw you, just like Capcom Fighting Jam, guy could actually juggle off a throw if he was in that juggle state. Okay? Just like if guy stops and then the guy wanted to attack out of this and he hurricane kicks you, well, if he hurricane kicks you, it lasts a few seconds. So then after the hurricane kick, he could technically then maybe stand fierce you into another hurricane kick. Okay? And then this dash here, I would say this dash stop, he phases through the guy to the other side. So, the opponent's got to be thinking, do I block this way? Do I block this way? Blah, blah, blah. He phases through to this side. And then I know this is kind of ghetto. Maybe another thing, he teleports to the other side. Boom. He's at a teleport in one game. I know it's kind of ghetto, but whatever, right? There's 6 buttons, so whatever. Roll with me here. He teleports to the other side and he can come down on you with an attack. If it hits the guy, if he goes low, whatever, well, technically, for a few seconds, he can do a Street Fighter Alpha combo, so boom. He can do the Street Fighter Alpha Dizzy combo. Maybe it doesn't instantly dizzy you, but it almost dizzies you, right? So that's the mix-up of this. That would be a weird kind of ghetto way of giving Guy a very interesting EX run, right? He's got the normal 2 options, just a little bit more powerful, a little bit more versatility. And then he's got this stop that, maybe the stop is a few more frames advantage or something like that. It's a little bit better plus, whatever. And he's got this stop where he kind of dashes through the guy, so the guy's got to look both ways. But again, if the guy tries to attack, technically, if he hurricane kicks, you're in a juggle state for a few seconds, so even after the hurricane kick, stand fierce, hurricane kick, kind of you got some Street Fighter Alpha 3 juggle action there actually, right? Or, that teleport there. Or, if you're up close in the guy's noggin, right, and you hit confirmed really early, boom, you got the run into this run. It does the Bushin combo. And boom, he does the hurricane kick. And say if this is blocked, that last hit, since, it feels like I'm kind of talking too much shit about this move almost. Boom, maybe then he can cancel that last hit into a special move too anyway. Who the fuck knows, right? Some kind of versatility here. And then for the final throwback, Guy, when he's doing this EX run, boom, he can press it at any time. He can press another 2 buttons. And for another EX bar, which then would be 66% meter, I guess, right? Boom. He does the little Final Fight 3 beat 'em up punch. A little bit of a throwback here. Make it an unblockable. You know what I mean? Boom. You have added a weird kind of ghetto. Boom. That's Guy's EX move. It's not some stupid, I have an EX move that is just my EX move but super powerful and it's for every single fucking move. No, it's an EX move that actually gives him a new move. New versatility. That's what I would do. That would be the new spin I would put on Guy that automatically pops up my head. Of course, there's other stuff too. I could get super in depth with this bullshit, but I think that is a very kind of simple idea that you could do to Guy to make him fun, to make him feel special. You've showed a little bit of love, a throwback to these past games, and you've actually made it part of his game plan in a fun kind of way, a novelty way, a actual real way. Anyway, remember if you like these kind of videos, like, sub, silly comment, blah, 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 blah. It's really long. Whatever, fuck. The end.